Hi everybody, this is Saad for the Sad Truth. I think I'm coming a bit late to this party, but today I'd like to discuss a debacle that took place recently um, when a assistant professor of philosophy by the name of Rebecca Tuvel wrote an article that was published in the journal Hypatia, which is a feminist philosophy journal, where she argued that the same logic that might support the idea of transgenderism, although some people don't like that term. Apparently now that's transphobic. To say transgenderism is now transphobic. But anyway, she was arguing that if transgenderism is something that is a appropriate concept, then of course, in her view, transracialism was, by the same logic, an idea that should be equally plausible. Now, it's too bad that I wasn't aware of this debacle prior to my testimony in the Canadian Senate. Some of you might remember that I mentioned at one point, when talking about the slippery slope of totalitarian lunacy, I mentioned, what's next, transracialism, fat phobia. Now, I know that some people, I think, had sent me the particular case in question. I'm not sure exactly when, but I hadn't had a chance to look at it. And so it's too bad that I hadn't read the details of that debacle. I'm not sure if I would have had a chance or time to incorporate it within my opening remarks at the Canadian Senate, but it certainly demonstrates that transracialism is certainly an issue that people are discussing. Now, what is interesting, I haven't read the actual article that Professor Tuvel wrote. I read the abstract and just kind of very quickly gave the first page or two a cursory read. She's obviously arguing that we should be supportive in some sense of both transgendered people and transracial people, and yet the backlash against her was quite extraordinary in that a bunch of, I guess, trans activists and feminists and other, quote, academics of that ilk were so triggered by her drawing a comparison between transgenderism and transracialism that they actually wrote a open letter, which I did read, asking the editor to retract the paper, even though the paper had gone through a peer review process, and then started, hassling her online and so on. So this is the perfect example of how, the snake flips around and starts eating its own tail. This is what happens with the lunacy of social justice warriors when there is nobody else to attack, defame, mock, accuse of being bigoted. Then you turn on your own and you start cannibalizing your young, so to speak. This is, of course, a professor who is early in her career, who, from what I read about her case, is somebody who's got the street creds of, a progressive activist within that particular camp of thought. And yet, because she committed, in the view of other activists, a huge transgression by somehow denigrating transgenderism by arguing that one's race could be trans just like one's gender identity, then of course she became the target of their hate. And so there is no crevice where people could hide, hoping that they will be invisible to the social justice warriors, because you might be a social justice warrior in perfect standing, but then you utter that wrong word, and then you become the next Dr. Mengele, the next Himmler, the next Hitler. So there you have it, folks. This is why I thought that my testimony regarding Bill C-16 would maybe cause some of the senators to pause and think about some of the downstream effects of their complete lunacy. And yesterday I actually did watch Jordan Peterson's testimony with the co-testimony of the legal counsel who was also there, and I've had a chance to actually communicate with that lawyer privately. He had reached out to me and said some very nice things, and so we exchanged back and forth. But apparently, I found out through Jordan Peterson's Twitter feed that the bill has now passed. And so I look forward to a lot of people being sent to Gulag 13 for the criminally, politically incorrect, where they will be re-educated about inclusiveness, diversity, and transgender rights. So there you have it, folks. We are further sinking into the infinite abyss of lunacy. I took my best shot at slowing the train down so that a few other folks who recognize the dangers of this lunacy, but apparently Canada is committed to becoming the #1 social justice warrior nation on earth. Let's see what happens. Hope you're having a good week. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.